Morning, everybody, and once again, welcome back in today's class. Today, we're in the day number 6 of our class, and we were discussed and we work on the entity. Okay, quick question to everybody. Put in the chat window. What is entity? One liner statement quickly. Put in the chat window. Quick, I'm waiting. What is entity? Is incident management is an entity or not? Smallest unit. Okay, that's nice. Good. Can be a person. Okay. Is incident management is an entity or not? Yes or no? How entity and entity type are related? It's one to one, M to M, M to one, or no relationship? One to M. How entity and entity class are related? One to M. How entity and entity class are related? One to one or one to M? Okay, one to one. Good. Now we saw that we created the entities, right? If you remember, we go to the compliance workspace and we created the entity here. Now, if I want to make the relationship or dependency of this entity, what we can do, we can go to the GRC workbench. GRC workbench is help me to be understand and to build the dependency map. So let's say if I remove this one, this was the out of the box dependency model given by ServiceNow to us. So you can see company is the class and this is a class. Under that class, we have a department. Department has 3 subclasses: business service, employee, and facility. Business service has facility and and vendor. Now, as we created our new class, what was that class name? LNG worker. And I want that it should be exist somewhere in the overall model. So I can drag and drop like this. What I did parent class, child class. So we're talking about this thing. This thing. Parent class, child class. Now I want to go next level. Under this class, I want to make another class as child class. So might be I can say employee. Once you create the entity class model, then you can see entity types. Sorry, when you create the entity class model, and if you want to make the dependency map, remember upstream and downstreams. Upstream downstream wala. Sorry, I guess I did not discuss it. Okay, so upstream and downstream we can create from here. So this is my dependency model, and I want to be create an upstream for the entities which are part of LNG work. So this is my class, This is my type. And under this, what I have? Under this, I have a entities. So now I can go here and I can see my class here. Sorry, entities here. Let's say I want to create the up and downstream for Barbara. Upstream is company. Why? Because we are here. Upstream is company. Which company? I want to put ACM Asia. Upstream. Downstream is no downstream relationship. Why? Because it is employee. If it is a department, then it is a good example for this one. Because worker के नीचे worker कैसे होगा? So if I remove this and I put department and now go and pick up the model. See, and department is finance. Now what will happen? Actually, why we're doing this exercise? So what we did, we already have a class. Now we created the LNG worker. Sorry, we added the LNG worker class as well in the model. It means the policies or the controls which are here, this will inherit. Now, if I open the dashboard, let me refresh this dashboard. All entities, ACM Asia. Downstream, not this, sorry. What was our entity? Barbara. And search it here. Barbara Hindley. So if you open this, entity type, this, हमने तो बनाया नहीं, but it come automatically and downstream inherited. How this come? Because it has some controls here, which has been inherited by Barbara now. And this is coming from the upstream and downstream relationship. So like in the CMDB, we have a upstream and downstream in the same manner. Here also we have a upstream and downstream models, which can help us to see the impact. So if we have multiple departments here, let's say this thing. So if you want to be test this one, there's a way to do a testing. It says one implementation, many tests. So if you want to be test this, it will be test this as well. There's a way. Control objectives are there. There is a separate way. But if you want to create the dependency graph or dependency map, you can create like this. And then you can, if I just refresh it, see, now 137 down controls. Earlier it was only one, but now we have 137 down control. See, as the and downstream inherited controls. These has been inherited from Barbara Hindley. And type is 1. Class is 1. See, child class department. Because we have read the map. Now the thing is that, which is again important point. If I come back here, which I mentioned on not this, yep, this is ServiceNow provide a job which run after every hour and add the entities in the entity list. What this mean? Let's say I have a few controls on the user table. Okay. I go live today, and when I go live, I upload the data manually and done everything. After that, I want if any new user get created, he or she should be part of this. Definitely, if entity filter is there, it will come entity only. Entity under the entity type. That is what the benefit of the entity filter means. No need to be add or map it manually. Automatically, entity filter will do this particular part. Clear? So what happened that if we go live and we want that that if any user has been added in the system now, should we get these controls or should be mapped to this particular entity type? For that, we have entity filter, and then ServiceNow run a job every 1 hour and to poll it. If any new user is there, if yes, then add it here. And same thing to remove the invalid entities. If a entity is no longer valid, let's say I have an entity filter that any user who is part of EMEA region and it should be active, please add it. In the when I started, I added Mahesh was the only one who is fulfilling this requirement. But after 2 hours, I got a request from Anu that I'm moving to EMEA region. I take it and the job run automatically in the background and add Anu as well in the entity type. In the later on, Mahesh left it, the EMEA region. So in the midnight, this job run again and remove Mahesh from the entity type because Mahesh is not fulfilling the requirement. What this mean? This is why why this is important because that is in ServiceNow recommend. Don't create the entities manually. We're discussing about this thing. Yeah. Use the entity filter so that it can come automatically. See, entity that matches the filter condition created and linked to the entity type automatically. कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. Because if you want that every user must have a password. If in a day 100 users are joining, can you add 100 user in the entity type? No, possibly nahi hai. So better to run the create a filter and let the job run. So this is the way that it can be done. And if you remember, we see this thing that we have a regulatory agency, authority document, citation, control, and risk, which is linked with the entity automatically. We're not discussing this part now because we did not have activated the risk plugin. And I don't want to be confused it immediately. We'll discuss this little later. And if you remember, we discussed that there's a different rules available to access the compliance. So if I come back here, this one. Now, two things important here. If you want to use the workspace, then a user must have this role. Workspace corporate, the workspace corporate compliance analyst role and a manager role. बट अतुल यहाँ तो बहुत सारे रोल हैं. आपने का एडमिन होता है, क्रिएटर होगा या एडमिन होगा, मैनेजर होगा, रीडर होगा, यूजर होगा, तो यहाँ तो दो ही हैं. लेट्स ओपन दिस रोल. Because these two roles inherit. See, this is Workspace Compliance Manager. It inherits the Compliance Manager role as well. And it inherits the Analyst role. If I open the Analyst role, it inherits the User role. मतलब कि admin is not there, but manager and the analyst roles is there. So if I show you this picture, sorry, not this one. Which one to discuss? I don't have a picture, but I want to be showing this here only. So these two roles are also important, and we have to understand that these two roles are equally what we have in the native view. Corporate compliance manager, and that includes the compliance manager as well. Might be if you see more, this manager may contain the admin as well. Might or might not be. Okay, tell me one thing. How many of you have activated the plugin at GRC Advanced Core and GRC Policy Compliance in your PDI? How many of you did that? You can put
I
in the
installed
chat.
the plugin.
Okay. Any difficulty you find out?
No, I did not.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I did.
Any issue? Any problem you find out?
No issues.
Okay. Good. Yes, Hemant, go ahead, please. Might be okay. You're saying that you have done. Or Hemant, any issue? You can unmute yourself. Okay, no problem, Ritam. That's fine. ठीक है. I'm lower down your hand then. Good. So now this thing. Now the important part is that what we was discussing earlier. We discussed about these things. Authority document, right? Citation, control objectives, and control. Control for discuss cannot not big thing. Before I go to the control as well, because control has a different types. Control has a two types, standard and common. Before that, I want to be discuss one thing which is important is the relationship. If you see this picture, here are the three things we are going to be discuss. ये डिजाइन के चक्कर में ना ऐसे ऐसे हो जाती है सारी. ठीक है, ये देखो, ये है हमारा डॉक्यूमेंट. When I say document, we are mainly talking about the two things. One is authority document, second is policy. And this is under the GRC document table, SN GRC document table. Why we have a document? Because these are the things which you refer it. So three things: document, content, and item. SN compliance authority document and policy is a compliance policy table. So if you go back here, let me open the workspace only, because now mainly work we're going to do the workspace. Okay, I'm not campaigning. अरे यार policies, this one. Okay, Hemant, not Hemant, Sai, just check in your PDI as well. Are you getting the double entries for this one? Why not? Why not? I'm getting the double entry. So these are the policies. And policy, sorry, authority document and citation is one-to-one relationship. Citation is a content, and it is a part of the SN content. So if you go here, if I search here SN GRC document, DOCUMENT, or it is underscore document. क्या होगा टेबल नेम क्यों नहीं आ रही है?
Table name should be in the name field column, not in the label, I think.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. So this one, authority document, which is extended from the document table. If you open this document, then you can find out SNGRC1. So now if I go in this area of show schema map, this is something happened that when you didn't notice that where you're writing it. So this one, policy and authority document. ये हो गई. Now go to the content table. So if I open the content table, SN अच्छा डॉक्यूमेंट के टेबल में ही सर्च करेगा यार. ओह, लेट्स गो बैक. Easy content table, and if I open a schema for this one, you can see citation, objective, and control. Mainly we're discussing citation and control objective, not the requirement part. And the same, so policy and objective can be M2M relationship, but documentation and citation is a one. And then we have an item. यहाँ ढूंढना ज्यादा आसान है, क्विकली हो जाएगा. ये देखो item. Or if you want to be see like this, let's copy this and go to extend. यार बहुत सारे, रुको यहीं से ढूंढते हैं, वो ज्यादा बेटर है. On this and go to schema. See, control and control requirement. Mainly control and control requirement. And objective and item has a one-to-one relationship. Every control objective has at least one or maximum, sorry, one control objective has many controls. So when we are doing the consulting, we have to make sure that we map the things like this only. And to be elaborated a little bit more, how the table structure work. So GRC profile is my entity type. Entities are my GRC profiles. And objective is policy statements. This one. And under that we have a control. Indicator, little later. Indicator means which indicate that what is the risk level or compliance level. And risk statement is little later. So to test these two things, risk and control, automatically on the entity, we have to be get the risk plugin as well, which we're not going to do now. We're going to pick up a topic called the policies. So if I come back here and show you this thing, we've done this part, authority done, citation done. Now we're going to discuss policy. ये थोड़ा सा देखा हमने, पढ़ा हमने, but not deep dive. Policy, acknowledgement and exception. क्योंकि ये अब बेस है हमारा आगे. This is going to be base for us now. Till this point, any doubt, question, anybody? Sonam, Anu, Hemant, Sai, Mahesh, Vinod, Prithvi, Mohammed, Ritam, Kiran.
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me, what is policy? Anybody? What is a policy? बताइए, what is policy?
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts. Okay.
Do's and
और
don'ts.
कुछ? हाँ, do's and don'ts. Got it. Anybody else? What is policy?
Rules that we need to follow.
Rules that need to be followed. Okay. The policy of Hassan's home and the policy in Anu's home can be same or can be different?
Different.
Can be different, not different, can be different.
Can be different.
Right? Like in the both house, there's a policy that if you're not sitting in the room, please switch off the lights. Right? If this is the case, can we say that policy is kind of the internal to the companies? It's not. There's a few policies which are standard across the platform. Sorry, across the industries. But mainly policies are internal to the companies. So if this is the case, then let's discuss this thing. कौन गया मेरा slide? This one. So policy is defined as an internal practice for a company. क्या policy है यहाँ पर? That or what rule, what policy, or what thing what I follow in my house is that specifically for my kid, if he need to be go to school tomorrow, he must sleep by in the night 8:30 maximum. There is a policy in my house. Before we're leaving for anywhere over the weekend or for a short trip, we have to do a checklist test check. Definitely, it's a best practice, or why it's required to reduce the risk and to be compliant. Whenever we are going out from our house on the weekend or some other day as well, any other day for a short trip, or might be shopping as well for 2-3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours kind of things, we check the gas stove is off, we check the heating is off, we check all the lights has been closed, we check the balcony door is closed, the windows are closed, the water taps are closed. These are the policies. Might be these are the policies are not applicable for Hassan, or might be for Anu, might be for Sonam. because they are so small. They never leave their house empty. Anybody is there always in the house. So policies are something internal to the companies to run and to run the show or run the this thing business, and also to make sure that our business is compliance and that reduce the risk of exposure. So what happened one time, my mom went to somewhere, and if you remember that in India there's a timing for the water, specifically if you have a fresh water kind of stuff. So in our hometown as well, this is the rule that from morning 5 o'clock or 4:30 till 10 o'clock a.m. the fresh water will be there, and then from 12 o'clock till 2:30 fresh water will be there, and then evening 4 o'clock till night 10 o'clock the fresh water will be there. So my mom was doing the work, and it was 10 o'clock, water gone. She forgot to switch off the tap. Okay, she want to go somewhere. She get ready and went for the shopping. By the time she came back at 2:30, the sink was totally flooded with the water. Why? Because she forgot to check the tap is on or off. That is risk risk exposure. To reduce the risk only, we have a policies. And also because we have to be control the things. If I say, guys, whenever you drive, please wear the seat belt. That is a policy. Why this policy required? Because to reduce the. Go ahead, please.
Is that policy, sorry to interrupt, or is that a rule? Are they different or are they interchangeably?
See, we did not call it as a rule actually, because might be in the rules there's no exceptions, but in the policy there's exceptions also possible. So we call it as a kind of a best internal practices only. In short, if you say if you talk about the ITIL perspective, we can say yes, it is the rules as well. But if you want to speak in the business terms, let's call it as internal practices only, which help us reduce the risk. We're going to discuss these definitions as well. Okay. So policy has total 7 types or 7 categories, I can say. Not even the types, it's a categories. Policy, procedure, standard, plan, checklist, framework, and template. Abdul, why these are required? Because we're talking about the risk. We're talking about the compliance now. If I say that why the categories are available, because we have a different standards in the industry. I asked earlier as well that if anybody is a COBIT or ISO certified, then you can easily relate it. So if I say ISO certified means in the ISO certified, I want to be say that this particular company is following or compliant with the ISO 27001 standards regarding the incident management. What that standard says? Standard says that if you are following the or you're providing the services to your customer for the incident management, do you have the standard template to log an incident? It means They're talking about this particular policy, this particular category of the policy. There are things, there are, because we are not aware, so we think that it is not exist or it is not required. But there are stuff which talk about only the templates. So what does policy mean? It's an internal practice. What is procedure? Everybody's from the ITIL background, right? What is procedure? Anu?
Step-by-step instructions.
Step-by-step instructions. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, step-by-step instruction, but it's a fixed one. जैसे to make a cup of tea, there is a procedure. You cannot put the water at the end. Then what is standard? Standard says a documentation of the requirements, specific guidelines. Like every company has a standard logo, the brand. If you change, let's say I'm preparing a slide, and I little bit manipulate the brand color of that particular company, it can considered as an offense. So it says that standard means that what type of this policy category, it's a standard policy category, that if anybody, any customer, any client, any vendor want to be used or want to work with me, have to follow the same standard which I am following. Like few of the things, if you notice, or the few of the companies have a standards, like if this product is not up to this quality, they will not put into the market. अब iPhone है, क्या है, standard है. BMW, Audi, they are considered standard, that if there is small or minute defect as well, they did not launch or they did not put the things in the market. So to maintain that particular kind of stuff, we have a standard category, and it can be for the material, product, process, and services. If someone says, Atul, this urban clap, they have a standard, or might be pilots. When they get hired, so they have a standard that minimum 20 or 200, 300, 400 hours need to be practiced. That is a standard. Our all faculty members in a college are doctorate. This standard hai. That's fine. They have a standard. Because this is what they're getting, the control or the policy from the AICT, or might be from the university or UGC. Then plan. Now why plan? I want to make sure that my company has a compliance with the business community business I'm saying community, not community, business continuity management. And for that I have to have a plan. So it is a plan type. Checklist which need to be done. A few days back I just went for an eye test. Okay, regular eye test, I go. So they have a checklist. First, go to room number 1, where a person will test my eyes with the machine. Go to room number 3, where that person put the lenses and do my testing. And then room number 3, a doctor will check and prescribe it. So this is what the checklist. You cannot go to the doctor directly if you're a new patient. Then we have a framework. Broad overview outline of the interlink items. Then it's called a framework. And last, it is a template, a format, a mold, a pattern, which we use for the similar items, for the basic starts. Why this is required? Because when we are going to be create the policies in the system, then we have to be take it that what type of policy we're going to be create. Might be for the procedure or for the process, the templates are required. But for the hiring, standards are required. Minimum CSA certified is required. That is standard. Like company says, my all employees are CS and ITSM certified. We didn't hire below than that. That is what is the policy. Doubt, question, clarification. What's the theoretical part? It is still easy to be understood. You can relate it. Okay, this is look like incident management, the change management kind of stuff. Tell me guys, any doubt, question? Good. Now, when we create the policy, there's a few fields are there. Name and state. What is the meaning of the state here? Policy is like your knowledge articles, which you need to be write it. पहले write करना है फिर implement करना है. And it need to be reviewed and approved by someone. Approve means it's kind of a attestation. Like when I was working with Vodafone Shared Services, I worked as a ITL process implementer. And me and one of my friends, we both are hired for that particular project. And our main role was to write the policy document. We write approximately for the 5 or 6 modules of ITSM, we write the policies. And each and every policy was reviewed by the UK ITSM head. He is still with the Vodafone, but we both left it. So he traveled from UK to India for the 2 weeks, and we discussed each policy one by one. So worst policy we have in the incident management is that every incident must be logged. That was the first policy. So policy is like your knowledge article, which need to be drafted, reviewed. It can be reviewed from the technical perspective, functional perspective, wording perspective, a lot of different ways it can be reviewed. And then approved by a body. And then publish. Now this policy is for which one? So type is there. There will be some owner and owning group. And now this thing important. Valid from and valid to. When this policy is getting expired, how long it is be valid? And it has any knowledge article with this. And then what is the compliance score? Department A, Anu's department is not following this policy. It means the compliance rate is less. And how this will become? When you do the audit, we link the policy with the control and control with the control objective. When the audit come, things get open and has been moved forward. Clear till this point, everybody? Doubt, question, clarification? Today we'll go little theoretical part and tomorrow we'll go for the practical stuff. And doubt, question, guys, clarification? Okay. इसको थोड़ा सा करते हैं policy hierarchy को. Let's come on this particular part. Life cycle of a policy. Draft, review, awaiting approval, publish and retired. Draft is something which is still in the writing mode. And ServiceNow provide to do the integration with Office 365, Google Drive, and SharePoint. And these things has been mentioned in the GRC properties. I guess here or might be not here. It's a GRC profile. क्या था GRC करके ढूंढना. It's under the profiles one. There's a property which states this thing. Let me see here. SharePoint. This one. Select a file sharing to host and attachments. Means in this when you're doing, and this step is called the authoring. Author means you're writing it. So we can integrate with Office 365 like directly on the your platform of Google Drive kind of thing. So not Google Drive, OneDrive kind of things. You can do on the Google Drive and you can do the SharePoint as well. And who will? Every policy has a policy owner. Once policy is ready, send for the review state. यहाँ पर. And it will go to the policy reviewer. So reviewer will be say yes, no, changes required. If changes required, it will go back to the draft. Same like we have a knowledge article kind of a life cycle. Same thing is applicable here as well. Then based on the policy reviewer comment, we update the policy and again submit for the approval. Approval can be rejected or accepted. And approval done by the approval, policy approval only. And then go for the publish. And then if you see policy is set to publish and the knowledge article published to the GRC knowledge base. इनका अपना GRC, अपना knowledge base है. Let's see, do we have, sorry, not this one. Knowledge base. This one, knowledge base and GRC. And if you open this, there is a articles like this. So see, category. ये कहाँ से है category? Coming from our policy. So if you come back here in the workspace, things are mixing it now. No problem. Don't worry. It is important. So this is my policy of remote access control policy. Let's publish. Policy text is this one. Exempted not your policies. इसको वो क्यों नहीं दिखा रहा है? Knowledge article. Type is vendor. ठीक है, देखना पड़ेगा. ओके. Approved. Acknowledgement, policy exceptions. ठीक है, we'll pick up this part. Might be it is directly creating but not showing here thing. Sorry, here thing I'm saying. Here anything. So this will be a policy. As soon as your policy get published, it create a knowledge article at the knowledge base. And then it will be available for the users. But sometime company wants that my user should able to not able to see, basically my user should acknowledge this policy. Acknowledgement that I publish a new policy and I want that in a department, HR department, Ritam, Anu and Sonam should acknowledge this policy. They accept it. Yes, they read it. Like sometimes what happens that you open the internet browser or the Google Drive or Google browser, you got a pop-up. Cookie spot pop-up like this. So in this the similar manner, my organization want that I should acknowledge it. For the acknowledgement part, we'll discuss tomorrow, because in the acknowledgement, again, this is a different life cycle. If you notice this part here, if I mention, I guess, कहाँ गया हमारा वो picture? This one. क्योंकि policy acknowledgement का भी it's like a campaigning have to be do. Separate process है इसका. I don't want that my all users should acknowledge the policies. Might be limited user, might be set of user need to be acknowledged. So I have to be run the campaigning for this one. Set of, if you anybody work in the HRSD domain, you can relate it. So in the HRSD, there is a campaign concept is there. You can get a campaign to show the records or the data or to some plans kind of things to the employees. In the same manner, we have a policy acknowledgement and we have a policy exception. This policy is not applicable for the women who are more than 5 years in the IT industry. So this called exceptions. Okay, clear everybody till this point? Doubt, question, clarification? Good. So let me stop the recording here now. And tomorrow we will discuss acknowledgement and policy exceptions. And then we'll create our policies in the system. And also I missed one more thing, that it's a homework for you. What are the things a compliance manager can do and a compliance user can do and a compliance admin can do? Send the answer by 6 p.m. IST today in the group. At least three things you have to be, or 3 points have to be from each rule you have to find out. And then tomorrow we'll discuss about this acknowledgement and exception, and we'll move forward for the policy creation in the system. And then we'll see that how a policy is linked with the control objective. क्योंकि ये सारा पोर्शन अभी तो यहाँ तक is all about your policy and compliance.
You said compliance user, admin, and manager.
Manager, right? 3 roles major, right? If you see this screenshot, ये हमारा ये एक तो इतने स्क्रीनशॉट्स हो गए मैं खुद कंफ्यूज होता हूँ कभी कभी. है ना हमारा who use this thing, this one, compliance manager, compliance user, and compliance admin. These 3 roles which is majorly we are going to be used in the compliance. ठीक है? Because these are things which is required for the when you run the workshops as well. ठीक है जी, let me stop sharing the recording now. अरे let me take a quick attendance.